Hello, this is a side show, and I'm Theodore Parker, and it's Friday, October 8th, 2021, and have I got news for you? Don't forget, you want to wear the mask, whenever it's appropriate. You're out there and it says on the door, mask required, then put your mask on. Take it with you. More benefits than drawbacks. Okay, what's in the news? Oh, it's been a hot fan to fan. Well, we'll start with what's going on right now. President Biden has moved to save a monument in one of the national parks. Speaking of monuments, you might be able to read some of this. Kentucky Division of Trails and Parks, 1986. Notice that big hand right there in Kentucky. This was a t-shirt specialty shop, hands-on originals. I like it. So, anyway, Biden moved to save the park monuments because President Trump at the time had kind of put that in a precarious position. So, President Biden moves to save the day. Next on the list, I think, would be one of America's submarines collided with something in the Pacific, unknown objects, which caused two sailors to be moderately injured, returning to port to assess the damage. And China flying airplanes over Taiwan space. Since they have made the separation, China's a little bit feisty about what's going on in Taiwan. And Taiwan, because it's independent now after 99 years of being under Chinese rule, you might be familiar with that expression from the British. Then an alliance has been formed with Australia and a couple other countries to support Taiwan via submarines. So that's what's going on. With 100 airplanes in Taiwan space in a short period of time, airspace, yeah, I think you can pull up the reins on that one a little bit. And again, Trump in the news. This time, due to the committee investigation on January 6th, it's been found out that he was trying to sway the Department of Justice. But when they were approached by a White House representative, they all threatened to resign if they were interfered with in trying to turn the election around. Need I say that these members are members of the Supreme Court? Do I have to say it right out plainly for you to hear it? So, that kind of rocked the boat once that hit the air as well. Also, Trump failed to make the Fortune 400 this time around. So that's another situation for him. Vaccinations. It's come out in the news that the Pfizer vaccine kind of drops in its effectiveness after 2 months after the second dose, which may lend some credibility to having a booster shot. Again, this is probably a medical decision for those that are affected. I myself received Moderna. I've had no adverse reports that I can find about that. I'm doing well as far as that's concerned, observing the CDC guidelines, watching who I'm around, so forth and so on. School has been affected. Big arguments about the masks, should not, state by state decision. Some people are not as wise as they appear to be. but still strong on the mask. Back to home court, Facebook. You know, I've been away and off the air, so to speak, for a little while. And that was because you kind of like smell the fire, you know, house on fire, run outside, call 911. If it's bigger than you, then don't try to fight it. So my little comments days ago about what was going on here on Facebook and relative to your mental health, especially in their making decisions to escalate from monthly access people to daily access people, has resulted in, well, I don't want to say a firestorm, but in a lot of hoopla. But long before I put it out there, the Washington Post was already running a series about Facebook and its effects on people in general and Instagram in particular for young people. So Mark Zuckerberg was offering commentary on that, proposing to launch an Instagram for young people, which got paused and halted because of the effects that it would have on their idea of an image of themselves or self-imagery. And as opposed to, like I said before, other social media platforms such as YouTube is kind of competitive. And I couldn't think the last time I was talking about it, particularly TikTok. You know, you can laugh at TikTok, you know, you can have kind of a good time with it. There's always some little challenge going on, you know, some jokes about this, you know, kind of like a family setting, people telling stories and things of this nature, as opposed to here. But during the shutdown on Facebook, you know, some reported as 5 hours, some reported as 7. Be that as it may, there was no access to Facebook. There was no access to WhatsApp, which is one of the buttons that you can press when you're accessing Theodore Parker's A Sideshow on Facebook. Then you have Messenger. So all of their connected platforms were down and out. So that was one for the books. Because you have worldwide users, and they purport to have 3 billion people on Facebook. Of course, that's kind of debatable because half the people just throw up a picture, don't want to say nothing about their current city, don't want to say nothing about the jobs that they may have had, don't want to say anything about the schools that they have attended, which in today's society seems kind of raw to digest in this day and age, that you have not lived nowhere, that you have not worked nowhere, that you have not been to school nowhere, because school is mandatory, and you have to have some place to lay your head. So, pick a city, pick a place. It just says, you know, current city. You know, it's very blasé in its request for information. You know, your likes, your dislikes, your interests. It's nothing saying you got to give your exact address, you know, your exact information. You can just say the city that you are in. And then that can switch, the same picture can switch to multiple identities, saying it like it is, so therefore that puts to that to rest. But in my own pursuit of the information, following the disclosures and things of that nature, one of the things that were definitely affected before this happened, I think when the Washington Post was running the articles, I just happened to run across the monetary amount for a share of Facebook. And at the time that I looked, I think it was $349 per share. So there's been comments in the news about that having dropped. I didn't follow to see how much or to what dollar amount it had dropped to, plus use of the platform and things of this nature. But it's a real and prevalent thing that even though there are certain, you know, guidelines that Facebook does have, as far as you as an individual reporting your negative experiences, it does not have a filter to prevent those negative experiences. So here we are. My coming back example, because my phone is how I receive my messages, et cetera, which is nothing new. You had the same opportunity going on, but my messages flash as I receive them. So I'm perusing on I forget which platform it was, but anyway, up pops a group that wants to post pictures of having sex with animals. I'm just going to come right out and say it, having sex with animals. So I'm perusing, as they say, scrolling down, and boom, up this pops. No warning, no whatsoever, just bang. I'm like, okay. But, I'm going to say this to you, you take it for what it's worth. If you look, like in the right-hand corner, upper right-hand corner, you can pursue how to report this, not only how to report this type of activity that's offensive to you, you have a selection as to why it's offensive, what you feel about it. Is it, a public nuisance? Is it a health issue? Is it, racially motivated or whatever? And then once you make your selection, the last thing you can do is block. Make a selection to block any further posts from this group or this individual. So it's a tedious process, and you might not always get it right, but it is available. So it's like you don't just necessarily have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, to coin a phrase. Now, getting back to the big time stuff. You see the fire coming, with Facebook and this and that, and platforms are talking about their staff getting back into the office January of 2022. But the basic idea is that they're working from home for what it's worth. So there's a whole new push to make arrangements for that, possibly, on a permanent basis, or for the greater majority of what their employee requirements for Facebook and other platforms as well. Google's looking at the same thing, to have their staff working from home via or due to coronavirus, and subsequently getting the numbers down on COVID-19, following vaccinations, et cetera, et cetera. So you can take that and, put it in the back burner and bring it up when necessary. But again, I emphasize that mental health thing, you don't want it to be where every time you have a moment you want to grab your phone. Some human interaction is always recommended. Texting does not allow you to look at the person's face. Does not allow you to see the expression. There is FaceTime. There is video chat. Things that you can do. You have experiences with that as you choose. So put that one there. Next thing I wanted to tell you about. I have been talking up about my PayPal account, and whatever words you want to use, contribute, donate $5. Now here's the spin on that. I'm not a person that likes to say, I told you so, but I can say I asked you. And this is something that you may not see the benefit from your angle right now. Expression, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink type thing. The water's there, the horse is there. The horse has to be thirsty enough to see that this is the water they need to drink. Okay, so that was like a deal that I could not have formulated on my own, because I've been looking around for several different things that might work. But that will work. But what you have to do as a person that listens, however often you listen or take a view of Theodore Parker's Sideshow, sit down in front of your computer or laptop, look it over. Now, I'm not just going to blatantly spoon feed you and tell you how it's going to benefit you and why it's of no cost to you to do that and follow up and donate some money to the Sideshow. You have to do that yourself. What I've been saying to people in the text lately is this. Can you read? Mostly everybody in the United States and around the world is basically literate, functionally literate. Can you think for yourself? If you can do those two things, which you seem to be doing on a daily basis anyway, then you should be able to comprehend what I'm proposing by donating $5 to my PayPal account. Like I say, I don't like to say I told you so. I'm not one of those kind of guys. I will say I asked you to do so-and-so and such. I asked you, which still allows you to maintain your thinking ability. Just like being trained how to get dressed, how to brush your teeth, how to take a shower, how to take a bath, how to choose your clothes, how to put on your shoes, how to tie your shoes. All those things somebody had to take the time to show you. So I am taking the time to show you something that you may not think will benefit you, but you will see it come back around if you take your time to take care of it. So, we're on the weekend into October. Scary month. Halloween included. All kinds of things to scare you, that's true. But there's supposed to be a little fun in there, trick or a treat. Also, want to remind you about taking care of yourself, mental health, physical health, watching what you eat. I ran across something on YouTube that for us older people, qualify myself in that group since I'm not in school and doing other things like that, and I'm not in my 20s and 30s. Seeing silver sneakers. If you've heard of it, YouTube now has a thing, some of it as little as 8 minutes, that you can do at home to a video that will help you do that. Now, I'm suggesting this because, number one, if you're an average person and you're just working and coming home, you know, you have that exhausted feeling, mostly mental, some physical, just from performing the job. And even if you're not doing 5 and 8, whatever portion of it you are doing, you still have that effect. So you have to counter that effect with something else that's physical, that's not using the muscles that you use at work. Ergo, exercise. Not a lot, just a little. And I'm, curtailing this or putting this in the context. If it's not your intention to be a professional athlete, or it's not your intention that your body be the means that you want to make money for a while, whether it's displaying it or using it, then you can take a less intense attitude toward things. If you want to go on YouTube or any other place and seek out things that are specific to your interests, whether it's weightlifting, bodybuilding, what other of the numerous sports that you have an interest in, please do that. But if you just want to keep an average tone to yourself and keep your endorphins moving and working, then keep some kind of exercise in your program. Friday, the weekend, October, fall of the year. That's it. Hashtag